Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the UK and Ireland Radical Race Series, week number 7 here at Bathurst. My name is Daniel Handover, and joining me in the commentary box is Mr. Edward May. Ed, how are you doing?
And tell you what, Dan, we're in for a cracker here. Bathurst Mount Panorama, a circuit that's seen plenty of GT action, of course, with the Bathurst 24 and then Supercar as well in the Bathurst 1000. But here it's going to be home to some radicals that do race very close, as we've been seeing in quite a few rounds. And with long straights to draft and slipstream, you're going to be seeing plenty of action as well.
Yeah, certainly so. It's great to be. This is the first time I've actually commentated on this season. Normally, obviously, it's yourself and Jack, and what a race to be commentating on. It's a fantastic event. I remember this fondly from last year as well, actually, and it really worked. This combination worked surprisingly well. It was one of those ones where I think we initially went in and we weren't 100% sure, but having done it, and from last season, it was absolutely fantastic. Very much looking forward to this week again. Looking forward as well. Ed, you're more experienced than this, obviously, with myself, with what's been happening from this season. So, is there anyone that you feel is going to particularly stand out in this particular round?
I'm not really sure. You can't exactly pin one driver to do better than all the rest, to be honest. It's going to be a close-fought thing. I reckon Dominic Langford has been showing some promise in this season, but just hasn't come through to get the results right at the end as well. I count out Simon Edwards. He's been looking pretty strong. And then, of course, John McHutchinson, who I'm looking at the timing sheets, is absolutely storming in qualifying. It's obviously just the first few moments, outlaps, of course, but getting the heat into the tyres, having a quick outlap, usually sets yourself up for a good rest of the session. So definitely keep your eyes open, John McHutchinson.
Well, very, very true, as you were saying. So it's going to be something that I think realistically, like we've said before, Bathurst is a very, very, it's a commitment-based track, isn't it? You have to be committed when you're going into, especially going over the hill, obviously, and going through down the mountain. And we're going to see that, I'm sure, as well. So we're going to be going to action in a few moments' time. And in fact, let's go to the action now. So currently, Mark Langford, he is just going through. This will be the first flying lap for people. It's currently around. Well, actually, I don't know. It's very hard to predict. So we'll know, obviously, what happens when the first laps have actually gone through. But this is going to be just a 10-minute lone qualifying session, and that 10-minute lone qualifying session, you can get 2 flying laps in. You get 1 out lap, 2 flies, and that is it. But ultimately, if you don't get the laps in, well, then it's, you can't obviously then set the lap. So very, very crucial here as well. Seeing a couple of people that aren't actually out on circuit at the moment. Phil Glover isn't out on circuit at the moment. Neither. It's actually, I was just about to say Michael LeMay isn't out on circuit either, but he has now just come out on circuit. You can see him now coming down into turn 2. Mike Busson just down at the number 15. You can see a respectable time. Purple sectors all around for Mike as it stands at the moment. So he is currently leading the way. John McHutchinson is just gone through with provisional pole position with a 157.024. Mike Busson actually has gone through and he's 0.760 behind. So he may have had a small little drop on a previous one of the final corners. But McHutchinson leads with a very, very early start. 7/10 of a second, though, to start with already. It's very, very, it's a pretty commanding lead to start off.
Very close indeed. As you mentioned, John McHutchinson seemingly setting the pace for the moment. Simon Edwards was close in behind. Like we was about to say, what lap times we're going to be expecting are probably just underneath the 2-minute mark. 157s, potentially 156. Could creep through once the drivers get their tyres up to temperature on their third and final qualifying laps. We're seeing John McHutchinson now just coming up towards Fenway Park for Skyline. Will fast approach. You can see now just sends the car through maximum faith, and then Skyline, so no, because, well, that's all you can see is the Skyline as you plummet down the hill, then go through the dipper, because the car dips down, as you can see there, as the track moves away from you. It feels, well, you can almost feel the pit of your stomach sinking out of you, and then Forest's Elbow, so named actually after after a motorcycle driver who would go down so far on his motorbike, it actually would seemingly scrape away his elbows, not named after the forest that's actually on the exit of the corner.
Oh, well, do you know what? I didn't know that. Well, there we go. There we go. A couple more lap times coming in. Richard Brown has actually just gone through. He's now into P9. Simon Maltby's also gone into a position as well. He is now in P10 respectively. Dave Kirkman, though, not too far behind. Only less than a tenth of a second. Meanwhile, we've got Dave Dowson, Michael LeMay, Jamie Bird, Paul LeMay, Phil Glover, Graham Brown, Chris Bassett, Ray Peasley. All of those drivers have not set a time yet. So around about 6 or 7 cars that have not yet set a lap. Admittedly, though, Phil Glover still not out on circuit. Hopefully, we will be able to get him out in a few moments' time. But we'll have to see. How is Paul LeMay going to fare on? He's now coming down and he will be going through the chase. In a V8 supercar, it's flat, but it's a little bit sketchy. In a Radical, easily flat as you now come down into the final complex of corners. Got to make sure that you get your braking point right. A fraction too late on the braking point, and you're going to go sailing off at the end of the chase. So you've got to be very, very careful. Martin Bucke, you can just see on the left-hand side, has just gone up into P4, although was straight demoted from P3 to P4 because Simon Edwards has now retaken that P2 position. Whereas Paul LeMay goes up into P5. Respectable time indeed from Paul LeMay. Very, very good stuff. That's what we like to see. What's Chris Bassett going to be doing at the moment? He is coming through. Again, just going through the chase. This will be the first lap set for him. Not too long left to qualify. And 6 minutes and 50 seconds have gone. Not too long remains. But again, very, very close. So we have a look at the gaps in a second here. There we are. So, it's a couple of tenths separated by Hutchison and Edwards. You've then got a relatively sizable gap between Simon Edwards and Mike Busson. And then further down, your gaps sort of ebbs and flows. Chris Bassett goes currently in P16. His last lap was a 2:01.25. But again, you've really got to sort of take this with a pinch of salt, haven't you, Ed? Because what you tend to find as well is sometimes you get people that drive a bit more conservatively in qualifying simply just to get a couple of laps in.
Yeah, you can see drivers obviously try to get those banker laps in right at the start. Then drivers later on are really going for it as Michael LeMay now exits Hell Corner to start his third and final lap here at Mount Panorama. Currently sitting down in 14th place. We'll be hoping for just a little bit more to come through as John McCutcheon, like we said, getting into the 1:56s. He's actually, I think, aborted his final attempt, so he's going to hope that what he's done so far is enough as Phil Glover exits and doesn't seem to be able to set a lap time at all. Might be running just a little bit too wide. Come out of Hell Corner, getting a 1x and realising that's all she wrote in terms of qualifying performance for him. And looking at Dave Dowson now, just coming into Forest's elbow. Such a crucial corner because you need to get it nice close to the wall on the entry and the exit. Maximise the track space, maximise the speed you take all the way down, back straight.
Is that a Stormtrooper helmet?
I think that might be actually. Yeah, it is.
I mean,
wow.
I'm certainly not going to. That's a very, very interesting helmet choice. So fair play there.
It's a little short to be a Stormtrooper, though, don't you think?
Well, I mean, a Stormtrooper is supposed to be tall.
Oh, the reference was lost on you. I'm sorry.
What was? Oh, yes, when he hit his head, when that extra hit his head. Or
no, it was when I think it was. Wasn't it Luke and Han had to pretend to be stormtroopers or something? Wasn't that what that was? Oh, never mind.
Anyway, small side. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the entire trilogy now, the original trilogy of Star Wars, to see what else we're talking about. A couple more drivers to come across the line. Richard Brown is one of them. Does he make an improvement on his previous lap time? No, he does not, but it is close, a couple of tenths in it, so good consistency there from Richard Brown. Michael LeMay does actually improve his time. He's now gone up into P15. Simon Maltby 16th, Ray Peasley in 17th, and then Dave Dowson is still going to be, he's actually just pulled over to be stopping his lap. So we're going to bring you the qualifying results in a few moments' time once everyone has finished their laps. I believe Richard Brown is actually still on. Yes, he is. So Richard Brown is on one final flying lap. Simon Maltby has decided that he's not going to be on the flying lap. And in fact, Richard Brown has also aborted the lap as well. So that is it for qualifying. And now we're going to bring you the grid order in a few moments' time. In fact, we're actually going to be able to bring it up for you now. All very exciting stuff indeed. So John Hutchinson takes that pole position with a 1:56.259. Very impressive time indeed. Simon Edwards rounds out in P2, just alongside Mike Busson in third, Martin Booker in P4, with Paul LeMay in P5. Graham Brown takes P6 with Paul Clark in 7th. Dom Langweb takes P8, Richard Brown in 9th. Dave Kirkman rounds out your top 10 with Phil Jocelyn in 11th, and then Darrell Taylor taking P12. A little bit further down the order, we then have Jamie Bird in 13th, Ray Peasley in P14th, Michael LeMay 15th, Simon Maltby in 16th, Mark Langford 17th, Chris Bassett in P18, Dave Dowson 19th, and then Phil Glover will take P20 on the grid. And that is everyone that we have for this 20 cars around Bathurst. That's an impressive grid. That is an impressive grid.
Yeah, that means we're going to be in for a real treat. Eyes, of course, will eventually shift to the front row and watch John Hutchinson and Simon Edwards, two drivers that we did highlight to see what they could do in this qualifying session, both on the front row now. Unfortunately, Dominic Langweb, the first driver that I highlighted, still inside the top 10. Not the best qualifier, but if he has a clean start to the race, usually that signifies a good start and usually a good end to the race as well from Dominic Langweb, as he is usually quite a good racer. But the drivers make their way up to the grid. Simon Edwards, John McHutchinson battling into Hell Corner with, as you can see, John McHutchinson on the inside line. A slightly dirtier run, so could hamper his acceleration off the line.
It may very well do, but let's see who is it going to be off the line. Lights go out and we are underway and racing. Tell you who got a good start. Looked like Richard Brown. He's already made up a position, so that's a very, very good start there. Mike Busson, spin. Who was that? That was Mike Busson, and can't see quite. Yeah, that was Mike Busson that's gone through. Oh, it's all gone completely wrong right at the back of the field. Oh, there's going to be some replays that we're going to have a look at. Absolutely. Further up the field though, so John Hutchinson is being pressured a little bit from Simon Edwards. It doesn't look like anything is going to happen. They might try and sort of pull away if they can. A little bit further down the order now, Jamie Bird versus Darrell Taylor, who's going to come out on top going through into turn 2 for the very first time. And it is going to be Jamie Bird. He's made up 2 positions straight away out of the gate. He is going to be very, very pleased with that. But he's going to have to get his eyes firmly on the gearbox of Phil Jocelyn, because that gap is already a second. You can see again on the left-hand side, so anything in yellow is less than a second, anything in orange is less than half a second. You can see that up at the top, Matt Hutchinson versus Edwards, it's just about to tick over to half a second. In fact, there it goes. We are having, again, even further down the order, Mark Langford versus Chris Bassett. We've got racing all the way up and down the group, which is fantastic to see. And Chris Bassett trying to make a move, but it's so tricky when they go through the hill for the very first time. You've got to make sure that you are committed, but at the same time, you've got to make sure that you're not pushing the car too much, especially on cold tyres. Going down the mountain on cold tyres in a radical, not the easiest thing to do by any stretch of the imagination. We've still got everyone going around. Phil Glover, Ray Peasley and Dave Dowson have just dropped a little bit from the back of the field at the moment, probably getting, I imagine getting caught up. Michael LeMay has actually had a very, very slow getaway. Not entirely sure what has happened there. But it's started to really... Well, it's kicking off already at this back. We're going to stay on board with this because this is a great battle here as well with Chris Bassett and Mark Langford.
Yeah, there's a lot of things all going on at once. Mike Busson with a bit of damage on the rear wing, you can see there, so he's not going to be having too good of a time. Chris Bassett going down the inside through into the chase. So that was a move being made up. Simon Maltby, definitely not a good way to start his race, down in 16th place. But in a good fight, in a close pack, so he can try and make some gains. And further up in front, look at this. Richard Brown trying to fend off, successfully fending off Dave Kirkman for the time being. But as he exits Hell Corner, all the way up the mountain straight, you can see Dave is going to be right in the slipstream. And Mike fancy move into Quarry Bend. The gap coming down moment by moment, metre by metre, second by second, up towards Quarry Bend. Isn't able to close in enough before the braking zone and before the apex. So they will stay 7th and 8th, Richard Brown, Dave Kirkman, as we see Simon Maltby looking to the inside of Michael LeMay through Quarry Bend, but not able to pull it off. So then they come towards the cutting. You can see the rear wing damage on Michael LeMay's car. Oh my word, Simon Maltby turning in a little bit too early, having a bit of a twitch, almost coming into the wall on the inside of the cutting. Cutting it too closely, but still getting away with it, and then coming up the hill. This is a brilliant area of the circuit so committed, but difficult when you are in a radical and you suffer a little bit of aero wash, as we just saw Simon Maltby suffer. Then, of course, Reed Park, Solomon Park, and now McPhillamy Park, all the way through. Look at the run. He's going to try and fancy move now into Skyline, around the outside, through into the S's. Great move from Simon Maltby.
Very, very good move indeed. We'll see if we can get a replay of that. Meanwhile, let's have a quick look at the replay a little bit further, well, earlier at the start of the race. Let's have a quick look and see what actually happened. So this is Richard Brown we're going to be currently viewing at the moment. So Mike Besson has that little bit of a spin, and Richard Brown just, again, just has nowhere to go. I mean, to be fair, sort of like that was like a skateboard move, didn't it, to be fair? So that was what happened there between Busson and Richard Brown. So not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. We're going to quickly cut back in now because we have still got a continued battle. Someone's gone off just at the end of the chase. Who was that? I wonder if that was Phil Glover. That's gone off track. We'll see if we can get a replay of that as well, possibly. But there's battling still up and down the field. We have got Richard Brown now coming into the pits. That'll be to take some damage. His car has certainly seen better days. So a bit of a shame from Richard Brown there. So you won't be... again, you never know. Anything can happen this. So it might be a decent finishing position for Richard Brown. You simply do not know. And then a little bit further up the field, the complete opposite end. I want to say opposite end, but this is the battle for P5. Paul Clark and Dom Liang Webb. Is it going to be Dom Liang Webb up the inside? Yes, it is indeed. And that is position done and dusted. Paul Clark didn't really defend that too much, and I don't really think there was any point in defending that.
No, it's too early on in the race to worry about making sort of harsh defensive moves at the early phase of the race. But look at Dominic Lang-Webb. He's having a good start to the race, isn't he? Qualifying down in P8, already up into P5, making up a few positions. We said watch out for him off the start in the first few laps if he gets through unscathed, which he has as Phil Glover. Well, that's definitely not the right way to be taking the chase. I think there's something going on with Phil at the moment. Definitely not in the best of shape with his car. Going down though through the S's, watching Paul Clark go. Drop back just a touch actually after being overtaken by Dominic Lang-Webb. That gap now over a second, which shows the pace that Dominic has in this race phase. Give a long angle shot, trying to pick out the cars, going through in sort of the forest, around Forest's elbow. Jamie Bird, Darrell Taylor, Phil Jocelyn, Mike Busson, Chris Bassett, all together, all close to one another. Squabbling in behind Dave Kirkman for 7th place. And actually, we can see, I think Jamie Bird's going to go for a move on Dave Kirkman. You can see pulling to the outside line. Jamie Bird on board around the outside, then coming down into the chase, hard on the brakes. Does he get it stopped in time? Yes, he does. Brilliant move.
Very, very good move. Absolutely there from Jamie Bird. It was clean, it was controlled, it was concise, exactly what you want to do. A little bit further, well, I say further back, only a couple of cars back, you got Mike Busson trying to nurse his car around, but unfortunately it's certainly seen better days. So it will be costing him time, left, right and centre. But still trying to hold his own there. He might try and make a move possibly back on Phil Jocelyn. Decides against it though. Tried to give it a good old go, but Jocelyn in the number 04 just had that little bit of extra drive around the outside. So a bit of a shame there. A position wasn't going to be made. Although, is it going to be made here? Because Jocelyn didn't quite have the run that he would have wanted on the exit. So Busson's going to try and go through. Is it going to be Chris Bassett following him? I think it might very well be. So is the number 4 Radical going to lose 2 positions? You know what? He has a bit of a disaster turn 2 there, but he's fighting back already. No, he is not. So Chris Bassett has to now settle back in. Whoa! Big moment there.
Huge moment that is. Chris Bassett taken out of the race. Phil Jocelyn slowing down as a result of the contact, also loses a place. Let's just have a look. I think it is a case of Chris Bassett. Well, just getting a big hefty shunt up the rear end. You can see he brakes normally.
Oh, yes.
Doesn't. Heavy hit into the rear as well. That's going to be suspension damage, or at the very least, rear aero damage. And trip to the pits, unfortunately. But look, I was about to focus actually on the gap that John McCutcheon had built up, nearly 2 seconds. That's been completely erased now. 1 second is the gap between John McCutcheon and Simon Edwards. So there was a very good mountain section coming through for the driver in 2nd place, who's in hot pursuit, and you can see the chance of race victory is still on. He thought maybe it would have been done dusted when John McCutcheon slipped out of the slipstream range, but it's game on once more.
Did we have this? I remember this being a similar sort of thing last time out, wasn't it? Literally this exact race last season, when John Hutchison, he did pull a bit of a gap, and then it came down a little bit. Then he pulled a bit of a gap, and then it came down a little bit. It's just a couple of little mistakes here again, which is let's be honest, it's Bathurst. It's easy to do, and certainly something that we're all guilty of at some point, because you've got to be so switched on and on the ball. So it seems to be a sort of a possible, like, carbon copy. We're nearly halfway through this race already. It doesn't take long, does it? It really doesn't take long at all. So I wonder if this is going to be something. I mean, the gap has started to extend already. So, it went from a second. It's now 1.3, 1.25. So it is starting to extend once more. But Simon Edwards still doing a very respectable job, as is Martin Booker, who's had a bit of a lonely race, to be perfectly honest. There's not really been, unfortunately, there's actually, I say unfortunately, Martin Booker's not going to be complaining, is he? If he can take a P3 and he's just trundling away, he's got a 4.5 second gap ahead of him, a 4.5 second gap behind him. He's running his own race. He doesn't need to push all that much. He needs to make sure he maintains up some speed and some pace, but he's not doing all that much, is he, realistically? He's just running his own race, which is exactly what you want to do in a situation like this.
Yeah, Darrell Taylor, though, can't really run his own race. He's got drivers to race and battle with, as you can see him coming down through Skyline, through the S's. As I think I've just seen an incident further up the road. We might come up to it now, just coming down through Forest Elbow. Dominic Langweb up into P4, as I think Graham Brown has had a moment. Yes, he's plummeting down the order. Huge damage, going to a crawl now, coming out of the mountain section. Let's have a look here. Is it just a mistake? You can see there's already damage actually on the car, and he sends it down into the S's. Too fast. Gets it out of the, keeps it out of the wall amazingly, but not out of the path of Dominic Langweb.
That's such a shame. I mean, Dom Langweb's perspective, let's have a quick look at it from his perspective. I mean, this is going to be so difficult. You can imagine that Dom Langweb's going to be on the brakes. These cars don't have ABS, remember. So, fair play to... So there's the objective there. I mean, it's your downhill. There's so many things. Yeah, it's a gap.
But the car rolls back.
Yeah, the car rolls back, which is no fault of Graham Brown. You see that Graham Brown was on the brakes straight away. As soon as got on the brakes, that was it. Bang, straight away. There was no hesitation on the brakes there. So, Graham Brown did exactly what he needed to do. Unfortunately, it just didn't quite work out, which is a little bit of a shame.
So, the race. Dom Langweb actually went into the pits because of that. He's back out on pit exit now, but oh dear. Sorry to say, Dan, it's not gone to plan for Dominic Langweb.
It certainly has not. Still an opportunity, though, for some good racing. Potentially, the gap between himself and Dave Dowson is about 5.5 seconds. So we're going to see if that can come down for the remainder of this race. But halfway through, it's going very, very quickly.
Yeah, again, I was saying about Dominic Langweb, if he gets the luck his way, usually he's quite good. Oh my word! Big moment there. Darrell Taylor facing the wrong way after coming into contact with Mark Langford. I believe Mark Langford's crabbing. He needs to get out of the way. He's got to pull that car off of the racing line, get out of the way, which he does. Very smart stuff from Mark Langford, but huge damage, suspension. You can see the car crabbing. I wonder how on earth that happened.
Well, we're going to get a replay up for you in a second, and we will be able to give you that information. So here we go. Let's have a look at what happened. Going through down into turn 3, turn 4. Tricky complex here. You've got to be flat out through this left. Is it going to be just losing it on the brakes? And there goes the car. Oh, and unfortunately, who was that got involved as well? Who was that got involved? I couldn't quite see who that was.
Was that potentially... I want to say that might be... Oh, I'm not sure.
I really don't know.
Dave Kirkman?
Could possibly be Dave Kirkman.
I think it was Dave Kirkman. Yes, it was Dave Kirkman.
How on earth has Dave Kirkman has managed to come out of that unscathed? If it... I really don't know.
Go back through the cast and see which one has damage on the rear. There's definitely a little bit of damage I can tell on the rear wing, just on the right-hand side. I think it might be, well, there's a driver in the pits, so that probably tells us who it was. Mike Busson.
Mike Busson. So Mike Busson's race, unfortunately, has gone from bad to worse as it stands. Not ideal at all. Well, it's all kicking off. Bathurst provides some great racing, also provides certainly a lot of action, I think, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, definitely. Paul LeMay, rather, up behind Phil Jocelyn. Now goes to the inside into Quarry Bend, and that's a relatively easy overtake. Gets it done even before the braking zone. So I think that was a very cooperative move from Phil Jocelyn. Realises that Paul LeMay might be just a little bit quicker at this phase, and with the slipstream, there's no sense fighting it. Maybe as well. following instance that we saw Phil Jocelyn get involved in early on. He's got a little bit of front end damage, I think. Probably shows that the pace just isn't there anymore, and he's not really wanting to fight too hard. Simon Maltby, though, is going to be trying as he might to find a way through on the mountain section, but it's so difficult to overtake. Very narrow corner after corner. High flowing section, you can't really just have an opportunity to send a move. You need to really line them up. Coming out of the mountain section all the way down the Conrod Straight, I think is Simon Maltby's next best bet of getting up into P8.
Certainly so. Certainly so. We're going to have to see. We're going to ride on board with Simon Maltby to see if the move is made. The gap is about 0.6 of a second. Might be just a little bit too far. What's happened?
For the lead, Simon Edwards.
Oh, what has happened here? Well, something's happened. I wonder if John Hutchinson's maybe had a small little moment. Obviously, that has been the case. Doesn't look like there's any damage on the car, though. So that's the key important thing. So this battle was just absolutely exploded between the leaders now. So Simon Edwards now retakes the lead. Wow, this has just blown things way out and really, again, we simply don't know now. We've got 4 laps left. What on earth is going to happen here? Could be absolutely anything.
Yeah, sorry for jumping across you now. That was very exciting then, because now the race has been blown wide open. Simon Edwards into the lead of the race for the first time so far this evening here at Mount Panorama. Will Simon Edwards be able to conquer this race, conquer the mountain? Or will John McHutchinson show his mastery of Mount Panorama? It's going to be an out-and-out fight between the pair of them, and John McHutchinson in the dirty air, in the air wash, seems to struggle here as he comes now towards Skyline. The gap now 0.6 of a second. I want to know how that move was made, Dan, because I think the gap was 1 second, then maybe a mistake coming out of Murray's, a little bit too much speed sent in. I think that could have been happened. He's very slow coming out of the corner.
Let's have a quick look. Let's have a quick look here. Doesn't seem to be, if we can actually, sorry, apologies, we're going to get that for you. Here we go. So there's the gap here. It's going to be unfortunately playing a little bit further down. Wow. So that's John Hutchinson trying to break the toe, perhaps, by the looks of it. So John Hutchinson trying to break the toe. Unfortunately, this is going to be a pretty hefty replay, unfortunately. So could it be going down into here, perhaps? No, you're right. It's certainly the last corner, wasn't it? That doesn't help the situation straight away. So that's going to be put a little bit of dirt on the tyres, on the outside tyres, which are going to be asking. We're going to be asking a lot of here. Is it just going to be a little bit of rotation? Oh, over the curb.
Oh,
well held there from John Hutchinson, though. What a save.
That was absolutely immense.
Ooh.
As soon as the rear... Oh, my word. We've got more action immediately afterwards. We can't analyse John McHutchinson. Amazing save. We have to watch Paul Clark fighting with Jamie Bird through the chase. I think they've settled their differences. No, they haven't. Jamie Bird looks to the inside, but the door is slammed firmly shut in his face by Paul Clark. Now, going back to that save from John McHutchinson, as soon as the car went, he locked up the brakes, slowed the car, kept the trajectory stable, and then bled the throttle on, and kept it straight and narrow. That was an amazing save from John McHutchinson. Very deft feet on the pedals, as we see Ray Peasley, who I think is not going to have such deft feet, and maybe make a mistake going down through the dipper. Oh yeah, the car just bottoms out, loops it around, but keeps out the wall.
That's the one problem, is with a car like this. It's the one big problem, is that the car is so low to the ground. You don't normally have cars that, like, you have GT3 cars, obviously GT3 cars are low to the ground, but they're not this low to the ground. These are completely, absolutely bolted to the floor. So yeah, bottoming out is a little bit more, a little bit easier to do in something like this. They're very light as well, so a small little bottom out of the car, it just pivots the car around. But this battle is still very much continuing between Paul Clark and Jamie Bird. This is the battle for P4, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So we'll have to see how it develops. We see there as well Paul Clark just going a little bit wide. That has allowed allowed Jamie Bird to catch up even more. I wonder if there's not going to be necessarily a move here in regards to... I don't know, actually. Is there going to be a move here for Jamie Bird, or is he actually going to wait until the end of the race? And maybe the final lap?
Oh, it's getting hot. It's getting spicy here this evening at Bathurst. You can see Jamie Bird closing in now into the slipstream, but can't find a way through. Needs to set it up coming out of the cutting. If he gets a good run, which he does, he could line up a move, but there's moves going on in the background now as Dominic Hang-Webb is charged back up through the field. There's been nothing short of meteoric. break. He's back up into P9. Phil Jocelyn's just up the road and he'll be back up where he qualified after heartbreak setback earlier on. He could do it all in the space of a few corners now as around the outside into Murray's. He needs to be brave, committed on the break. There's a touch between the pair of them. Around the outside goes Dominic Langweb. He gets a good drive out of the corner. He's going to have his nose in front. Is he going to have the whole car in front into L corner? Yes, he does. Brilliant stuff from Dominic Langweb.
Very, very good indeed. And do you know what, Simon Mott, we might have a quick look up the, with Phil Jocelyn as well. So let's just quickly switch back to that. You saw there as well that Jocelyn didn't have a particularly good run. He just compromised his line ever so slightly, trying to go up the inside, which again is a move that you would absolutely try and make. But it might have cost him a little bit more. Simon Maltby versus Phil Jocelyn. Who is going to come out on top? It is going to be Simon Maltby, going to go around the outside into turn 2. Can't quite do it though. You're a bit off camera around the outside, so it's a little bit tricky. Manages to keep his foot in though. They're still going to go side by side. No, actually, they're not. I tell a lie. Phil Jocelyn still maintains that P9 position. A little bit further down, though, we've got another battle going on here. This is Mike Busson and Ray Peasley, who's actually, Mike Busson has just passed Peasley, and so he has lost a position there, unfortunately. You can see at the front of the field, have a look at that. The gap has certainly come down. We knew the pace of Hutchinson. It was very, very fast. The gap was half a second, then it was 4/10, now it's 2, and that is still going to be coming down a hell of a lot. We've got 2 more laps to go here at Bathurst for round number 7 of the UK and Ireland Radical Race Series. Who is going to be coming out on top at the front? It's nail-biting stuff. Martin Booker, again, P3 has just been running his own race. Fantastic stuff. Meanwhile, Jamie Bird, he didn't quite make the move going into the last corner that we thought he may have done, but he is still on the back. He actually dropped to about 4/10 of a second over to the last corner and has now since caught back up. So Jamie Bird certainly does have the pace, as it turns out, to catch up with Paul Clark. But at the moment, Paul Clark doing a very, very good defensive drive.
Yeah, very good stuff from Paul Clark, as you can see. Just keeping him where he wants to be, keeping Jamie Bird in behind. John McHutchinson and Simon Edwards still as close as ever. That gap is staying under half a second for the past, 5 or so laps. So it's all hotting up towards the front. John McHutchinson staying close behind. Now the gap under at 0.2 of a second for the lead of the race. Could be getting very exciting now. They will be nose down in front. If we can down have a little look at that battle for P1. There's a lot of battles going on. I know I can see there's a battle for P9 as well with Simon Maltby. But look at them, nose to tail, down through the dipper, coming in towards Forest's elbow. Simon Edwards actually with a little bit of damage done to the front of the car. You can see it's not quite healthy. John McHutchinson in a great position to try and take back the lead of the race. But does he want to? Would he rather start the final lap in second place or in first? You're going to see him close in immediately. Defensive driving from Simon Edwards, trying to break the toe, going one way then the other, couple of wheels onto the grass actually in efforts to stay in front, and into the chase he comes. John McHutchinson hard on the brakes, tries to send the move, but has to slow down. Simon Edwards so brave around the outside, had faith that there wouldn't be contact. It was close, but it was still enough. So now we will see the white flag waved for Simon Edwards and John McHutchinson. Look at how close they are. This is going to be a real sprint to the finish.
It certainly is. Very, very true indeed. What's going to happen? We're going to dive a little bit further down. Oh, Simon Edwards had a bit of a slow run there. Do you know what? I don't know if John Hutchinson maybe gave Simon Edwards a little bit of a nudge there. It seemed to look like it, didn't it? Jamie Bird hasn't got past Paul Clark. You can see that on the left-hand side of your screen, but it's still very, very close indeed. We've also got then Darryl Taylor and Mike Busson. They're having a bit of a tussle. Simon Maltby's also having a bit of a tussle there, but John Hutchinson tries to go on the outside of turn 2. No, that's cost him. That's cost him a lot of time. That could be the time. That's it. That might be it. It's 0.6 of a second now. Tried to go for it. Mike Busson's actually just got past Darryl Taylor. We can see Mike try and grab a replay of that now, while we've got a little bit of gap between these two here. So where is the move going to be? Oh, that's brave from Busson on the inside. He's obviously repaired his car. Manages to get it all sorted. That was a very, very brave move. Fair play to Darryl Taylor, though. Squeezed as much as he could. He was absolutely available to do that, and he's more than entitled to do that as well. But Simon Edwards still leading the pack, as it turns out. What's happened to John Hutchinson? He's gone out. Something's happened to John Hutchinson. Has he had a disconnect? Has he been... there's been some form of issue there. Oh, no. Oh, no, he's back. Sorry. Yes, you are right. He is back. Oh, he's gone up to 0.2 of a second again. What is going to happen here? He didn't get a great exit out of Forest Elbow. Oh, my goodness. This still might be just too much.
There's damage done to the rear of the car there. Something has happened to John McHutchinson. He's slow even in the slipstream. This has gone awfully for John McHutchinson. But Simon Edwards, what a way to win this race. He should be able to hold on. Just a few more corners to go, and Simon Edwards will win the race here. As we say that, don't count John McHutchinson out, because now into Murray's corner, he could go for it, but I think it will be Simon Edwards.
Oh, it's going to be close, though. I mean, to be fair, he was trying to put Simon Edwards off. You could just see there. But it is going to be Simon Edwards taking the race victory here, with John McHutchinson finishing 2.5 tenths behind. Wow, that was a close finish. Oh, my goodness. We can't breathe too much, though, because this is the battle still for Jamie Bird and Paul Clark. This is the battle for P4. Martin Booker's just going to come across the line in P3. But who is going to come out on top between these two? Jamie Bird's going to have to go around the outside. Paul Clark is going to take a defensive line. He's going to try and squeeze just about as much as he can. Is there going to be a cutback? I don't think there is, because the line is simply just after. No, so Paul Clark manages to maintain P4. And then Jamie Bird in P5. Here comes Paul LeMay. Dave Kirkman comes across the line in 6th, with Paul LeMay 7th. So, again, it's still not over yet, though. We've got a couple of, I say they're battles. There's about 0.7 of a second, between these drivers here. Still anything can happen, though. Let's not count anything out just yet. And in fact, as well, I think Daryl Taylor's just had a small off. So that will be allowing Dave Dowson to just maintain through. You can just see Daryl Taylor a little bit further back there. Wow. I mean, hats off to both Hutchinson and Edwards. I mean, that was a cracking battle. Fair play to Simon Edwards. This is the good thing actually with this series, and I really love commentating on this series, is because there's a lot of trust between drivers, and you can see that absolutely. The trust is very, very much there. Simon Edwards knew that he could stick it around the outside. John Hutchinson wasn't going to run wide, and he wasn't just going to drift into the side. There's a lot of respect between these drivers here, so absolutely fantastic stuff. We're hopefully going to be able to have a chat with both of them in a few moments' time. But, yeah, I mean, wow. What a race. That was absolutely fantastic. I'm very glad I was able to come back for this round.
I'll tell you what, maybe you won't be able to get out of the Coles box. You'll have to fight Jacko to get back in. Jacko not here this week, but hopefully he should be back in a week's time, because he's currently enjoying a nice holiday. But we can see the race results confirmed on your screens now, and it is Simon Edwards who takes the race victory. Didn't take pole, but his racing ability was enough to capitalise on the mistake from John McHutchinson out of the final corner, and then he held firm, held strong from a brilliant charge from the Scotsman in behind, who finishes in 2nd place, with Martin Booker having a very, like you mentioned, lonely race, some 27 seconds back from amateur race victors, but still he won't be too upset with a strong P3 finish ahead of Paul Clark and Jamie Bird, who had their own very close fight, and Paul Clark was able to hold off for that time. Then we come down to Dave Kirkman, Paul LeMay, Dominic Langweb, Phil Jostin, Simon Maltby in 10th place ahead of Mike Busson, Dave Dowson, Daryl Taylor 13th, Ray Peasley 14th, Richard Brown and Mark Langford completing the drivers that finished on the lead lap. Then Chris Bassett 1 lap down in 17th place. We've got Graham Brown, Michael LeMay and Phil Glover all not finishing that race several laps down. But with all of that excitement out of the way, Dan, I want to see if we can get some post-race interviews coming through.
Certainly so. Let's have a look at who is in the interview waiting room for us to have a quick chat. To tell you one person that is Mr. Phil Glover. Phil, are you there? Can you hear us?
I am, yeah. This is probably the first time you've ever spoken to a spectator.
Well, to be fair, what happened for you? What talk us through your race?
Yeah, well, I didn't really start. I started on the grid, but I've been having problems with my tonight. About half an hour before the race, my steering wheel and throttle and things were spiking so much it was undrivable.
Oh, really?
I followed them off the grid and I tried, but it was just spiking all over. So I thought, well, I might as well pull up around the track and watch it. And to be honest, I've never done that before. It's really immersive, especially with a VR headset on. It was really fun.
You're in VR. I mean, to be fair, well, I mean, obviously a spectator for this round, but obviously you've been racing for the entire season. This season as well. How has it been for you? Like, how would you describe, a very brief summary of this season so far for you?
It's not been good because I was out of action for probably 2 or 3 of the rounds. Then I did 1 or 2, and I think I was okay. I'm fairly quick on this track for me, so I was really looking forward to it. I was getting into the 158 in practice, not today, but yesterday and the day before. So, yeah, real disappointed that I wasn't able to compete, really.
It's certainly a shame, isn't it? It is always the way, when you get to that one round that you really, really want to go forward with and it doesn't quite work out. A very, very big shame as well. We are sticking in Australia for next week, and we're actually going to Phillip Island. Now, Phillip Island is an absolutely fantastic circuit. One of the ones I adore Phillip Island. And the fact they race V8 supercars, or used to race V8 supercars, is just madness to me. From your perspective, is that a track you've driven much, Phil?
I've been on it a little bit, but it's not one of my better ones, I must admit. So, yeah, I mean, they're all a challenge. At the end of the day, it's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be a challenge. So both of those apply.
Absolutely, certainly so indeed. Before we wrap up though, Phil, anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out and say hi to on the broadcast?
Yeah, well, I'd just like to say well done to Simon, of course. From where I was sitting, it looked really close every time they came past me in the later things. So well done, Simon. Obviously, Dave's mum, as always, and Chris Kane. I don't think Chris is with us tonight, but yeah, he's a great sport, and he pulls all this together along with a few others. Thank you.
Certainly so. Well, Phil, a pleasure as always to catch up with you, and we look forward to obviously seeing you back on track, hopefully, at Phillip Island next week.
Yeah, I hope so. I'll have to find out what's up with it now.
Well, like I said, hopefully that is found out nice and quickly for you. Brilliant. Right, take care, Phil. We'll see you next week.
I'll tell you what though, Phil, I'm surprised that you're not looking forward to Phillip Island, considering, well, it's in your name. You've got to do well there. It's your track, isn't it?
Well, yeah, there is that.
Somebody look at it.
You're gonna have stiff competition though from Phil Jocelyn. I know that for certain. See who can come out on top of the battle of the Phils at Phillip Island, eh?
Yeah, fill your boots.
Have a good one, Phil.
Right, so that was Phil Glover. We've got a couple of other people that we're going to be chatting to as well. 2 of which, obviously, we've got Simon Edwards and then Martin Booker. Ed, who should we bring in next?
Well, we couldn't go through without having a chat to this man, race winner, Simon Edwards, who's had, well, a very, very, very fun race, haven't you, mate? It's been close up at front, but you were just able to hold on.
Oh, yeah. That was tight, wasn't it? Yeah, I didn't expect John to make a mistake, and I was struggling to get near him. Very surprised for him to make that mistake. But managed to hold on there, and I don't know if it was on the broadcast, but I lost John behind me about halfway around the last lap. So I thought it crashed, so I slowed right down. Didn't realise either I'd flashed off or he'd flashed off.
Oh no, we noticed it, and it was very, very weird because we saw John McHutchinson just vanish. So we saw the same as you did. Something was definitely not right with his internet, but you were still, with all of that aside, able to hold on. And how was it like trying to defend from him in those final few laps? Because we saw him really piling the pressure on.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how actually. I was getting a bit nervous. I had a big loss of the rear end out of T1 with him behind, I think with 3 laps to go, but because it was right behind, I got lucky, so he had to check up at the same time, and so basically the same mistake he made in the last corner I made in the first, but because I was a bit further behind, I got round him. But so first of all I thought he was going to ram straight into the back of me, but he had quick reactions, and then like you say, at the end he was able to drive much closer in the draft than I was, and he could definitely poke his nose in a bit into the corners. So I was just making sure that I could run an outside line around the last 2 corners and the inside line into T2. And as long as I could do that, I felt I had a chance.
Yeah, and obviously that was how you were able to defend. But what was it like in the early phase of the race? Obviously, your eyes must have lit up when you saw the incident. But up until that point, was there things that you were just struggling with in the dirty air? Because it looked like it was going to be John McHutchinson's race.
Yeah, that was John's race. If he hadn't made a mistake, I kept coming back towards him once I fell off the out of the wash at the back. So my lap times came back again. And then as soon as I got to about a second behind him, I was just too much understeer from the way I'd set my car up. So I could just sort of bounce on the end of the draft with him. So really, I needed that mistake, and I got it. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and of course you were saying about if you can mount a championship charge or not, because obviously John McHutchinson missed a few rounds, and you said when he comes back, it'll probably he'll sweep it through. Not so. You've been able to go toe to toe and come out on top. Is this the time where you think the championship could go in your favour?
I think it's neck and neck now with the drop weeks. So I'm not going to say that at all. No. I think it's going to be down to mistakes. To be honest with you, John's got more pace than me, and I'm sort of hanging on really. So I'll just keep hanging on and see if I can finish races with less mistakes.
Well, I can see in terms of the no drop weeks counted, you are definitely firmly in the lead of the championship. We'll see what it's like when the drop weeks come into effect. Hopefully we'll get all of the maths and stuff worked out for the final few rounds. But Simon, congratulations. And going into the other Australian track on the calendar, Phillip Island, is that one you think you can have the edge?
It's a track I love, so it's obviously a draft track, but it's going to have a wash problem in this car as well because of the T2, 3 around the top of the hill there. I think that's going to be a little bit of a problem in this car, but around the rest of the track, I think we should be able to stay closer. So it might be a good race. It was only two of us up the front, wasn't it, today? So hopefully we get a few more in for the challenge as well.
Yeah, you and John, class above the field, but mate, congratulations on your race victory. Before we let you get off and celebrate, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to here on Absolute Sim Racing?
I'm going to give you guys, Absolute Sim Racing, a big shout out because I've been watching back the broadcast, and I do love the banter. I love the knowledge. You know, it's very pleasurable to listen to you as well as watch the action.
Oh, thank you very much. Hopefully you'll find that tonight's broadcast has been just as entertaining with just as much random knowledge that I spew out and a good little bit of back and forth between me and Dan.
Yeah, I hope you're telling me what all these corner names are because I can't remember half of them around this track. I only know the chase and the elbow.
I've shouted out a few of them. You got Skyline, the Dipper, the Cutting. You got Quarry Corner, Hell Corner, Murray's. Got all of them.
Yeah, I just forget which is which because they're all pretty much Hell Corner, aren't they, around here?
They are pretty hard to get right, but you seem to have mastered it tonight. Congratulations, Simon, on your race victory.
Thank you.
So, exiting the commentary box is Simon Edwards, master of the mountain here this evening. Dan, I think we have time for just one more driver who I think is waiting in the wings for you to have a word with them.
Certainly so. We're going to bring him in now, and it is Martin Booker. Martin, can you hear us?
I can, yeah. Hi.
Martin, how's it going? I mean, from our perspective, a pretty quiet race for yourself, but congratulations on the P3. What was it like for you?
It was a bit of a Sunday drive in the end. I lost Simon and John sort of quite early on. They're so stupidly quick round here, the pair of them. So there's no point trying to keep up with them. Mike spun off on my inside on the first lap. And then I kind of lost concentration coming around halfway through and just sort of went off on the last corner there, damaged the front of my car. So I just sort of nursed it round to claim my podium, really. So not exactly the most awe-inspiring race I've ever had, but there we go. Always take a podium.
Well, I mean, certainly so. A podium. You're certainly not going to, squabble at a podium position. Absolutely. I think realistically, it's given you, going into the final third or final quarter of the season. It's given you some good. I think, to be fair, it's a good points haul as well. It's secured your position a little bit more as well. So, Phillip Island is next. Is that a track that you're used to?
I like Phillip Island actually. Yeah.
Good.
So I'm quite looking forward to that.
Good. Phillip Island is a fantastic circuit. I was saying a little bit earlier on, the fact they race VO Supercars around there, we used to race VO Supercars, is just madness to me. I just love it. It's a fantastic circuit. So, yeah, I think that's actually going to suit these cars really well because it's not really an opportunity. There's not going to be much slipstreaming in there. If actually, it's going to be quite difficult with dirty air, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because the last time we were there was before they made the mods to the aero. So the draft was really strong when we were there last time. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes this time. And obviously, I don't think the aero wash is too bad, but around Phillip Island we've got a lot of high-speed corners. It might be a little bit more dodgy, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Certainly so, and obviously we're looking forward to it as well. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. Well, Martin, pleasure as always to catch up with you. Before we do go there, anyone like to give a quick shout out to?
Usual, really. You guys for the great broadcast. Chris and Dom and MJ for the work they do, and Dave's mum.
Well, there we go. Thank you very much, as always, Martin. It's been an absolute pleasure. Good to catch up, and I'm glad that I was able to come back for the commentary on this race. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Thanks, Dan.
Brilliant. Take care, Martin. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Well, that is it for us. We are going to have to wrap up, unfortunately. Ed, just final closing comments for yourself.
Well, roll on Phillip Island, that's all I can say. We've had a great evening's racing here at Bathurst. The mountain has definitely not led us astray. It's not disappointed us. We've had cracking racing all throughout the field. It just shows that the evening has flown by, hasn't it, Dan? We were talking, thinking, oh, this has gone by pretty quickly, but unfortunately, it's all the time we have for tonight, isn't it? And we will have to look forward to a week's time when we can finally see the Radicals back in action, this time at Phillip Island.
Indeed, we will, as you say. Looking forward to it very much. Jack will be back next week. I will be taking my leave. This is the round that I was jumping in. Very, very excited and fantastic to be part of this round. It's absolutely fantastic and good to be part of the series as well. Big thank you, as always, iLounge Racers and HPE Automotive for sponsoring this event as well and this series. Radical Race Series, fantastic stuff. If you want to get involved with the series, the link to the website is in the description below. So please do make sure you have a look, and please make sure that you keep an eye out for if you want to get involved. I would certainly recommend it. You can see the racing that we've got. It's fantastic. Racing all the way up and down the grid. Why would you not want to get involved? But we will see you next week at Phillip Island, same time. Do not go anywhere, and do make sure that if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Absolute Sim Racing YouTube channel to make sure you can keep up with all of our broadcasts happening in the very near future. But as always, everyone, make sure you take care and stay safe.